I'm Anthony Delgado. I'm 54 years old. I'm sitting in a cell serving an 18-year sentence for manslaughter because I threw one punch on a Friday night in 2013. One punch. Let me tell you what that one punch cost me. If I had just stayed home that Friday, my life would be perfect. I mean that. I had it all. And I traded it for a moment of pride in a bar fight that went too far. It cost me my freedom, my family, and 18 years of my life. Your temper is a weapon you can never holster once it's fired. Let me tell you what happened. To explain the cost, I have to take you back to who I was before that night. Back then, I was a construction foreman from the west side of San Antonio. Married to Maria, 3 kids. I had a high school diploma and I worked my way up from carrying lumber. My parents raised me and my 4 siblings in a low-income neighborhood over there, but I'd built something better. A house, a family, respect. I was proud of that. You see, pride is a fragile thing. It was a Friday in May, payday. A big job was finished. My crew wanted to celebrate. That Friday, Maria asked me to stay home. We'd been arguing. Nothing major, just the usual stress about money, about time. She had that look in her eye, a quiet worry. But my buddies were waiting. I told her I'd just go for one beer. One beer, then I'd be back. I kissed her forehead and walked out the door. I can still feel that door closing behind me. I drove to the Alamo Draft House on the west side, a place I knew, a place I felt safe. That was my first mistake. I was at the bar, feeling good. The work was done, money in my pocket. My crew was laughing at a table behind me. I was on my first beer, just starting to unwind. The world felt solid, like I had it all under control. I was Anthony Delgado, foreman, provider, a man who commanded respect. That's when I felt the hard bump from behind and the cold splash of beer down my shirt. He was a guy I didn't know. Bumped me hard, didn't even look, spilled my whole beer. Then he laughed with his friend. No apology. That old heat started in my chest, you know? That west side pride. My foreman voice came out before I could stop it. I said, "You gonna buy me a new one?" The tone was all challenge. That's all it took. My words hung in the air, and the whole energy of the room shifted. Words started flying. He got in my face, called me names. I saw my buddies stand up behind me. I saw his friends stand up. The bar got quiet, everyone watching. My pride was a brick wall. I couldn't back down, not in front of my men, not in my own neighborhood. Every insult was another brick in that wall. It was a stupid macho dance, and we were both leading. Then he shoved me. It wasn't even that hard of a shove, but it was the final challenge, in front of everyone. That brick wall of pride just exploded. I didn't think, I didn't plan. My body just moved on its own, a lifetime of scrapping in low-income neighborhoods taking over. I threw one right cross. I've thrown punches before, in scuffles. This was different. The sound was wrong. My fist connected with his jaw, but he didn't stumble back, trading blows. He dropped, straight down. His head hit the edge of the brass footrail on the way down with a crack. I can still hear in my sleep. It wasn't a loud sound, but it cut through everything. Then he was just still. The silence that followed was worse than all the shouting. I just stood there, looking at my own fist. I knew. I knew before the screaming started, before someone yelled for an ambulance. I was still standing over him, this man named Carlos. I learned his name later, when the sirens came. In less than 2 hours, I'd gone from leaving my house to waiting for the police, my life already over. They led me out. I looked back once. That's the image I see every night. A man on a bar floor, and my whole future draining away. It cost me everything. I've served 12 years of that 18-year sentence. My 3 kids, they grew up with a father in prison. My son, my youngest, just turned 21. Maria sent me a video on the messaging system they have here. I watched it on a little screen. He was blowing out candles in an apartment I've never seen, surrounded by people I don't know. He looks like me. It hurt to look at him. Maria was there, off to the side, smiling. She looked tired. She always looks tired in the videos. Maria, we communicate. That's the word they use here. Limited contact. It's occasional letters, mostly about the kids, about bills. A strained visit every few months with thick glass between us. We ran out of things to say about us a long time ago. What's left to say? The man she married died in that bar too. I'm just a ghost who writes letters. My 4 siblings, they came at first. My parents came. But it's hard. It's a long drive. It's a depressing place. The visits got shorter, then farther apart. Now it's maybe a card at Christmas. You see, you don't just lose your freedom. You become a burden, a sad story. People move on. They have to. I traded my family for a moment of pride. Carlos, the man who died, he lost his life, and I lost mine too. I understand that now. It's a cold, quiet understanding that sits in your gut every single morning when the lights come on in this cell. Understanding that cost, it's a hollow place. But in that quiet, you learn things. You have nothing but time to think. And I think about that chain reaction all the time. If I'd stayed home, I'd have made up with Maria. We'd have ordered pizza, watched a movie with the kids. I'd have been foreman on a dozen more jobs. I'd own my house by now. I'd have taught my boys how to swing a hammer, how to read a blueprint. I'd have walked my daughter down the aisle. Instead, I get a photocopy of her wedding invitation. Perfect life. Gone. I understand now. Your temper is a weapon, and once you fire it, you can't take it back. You can't holster it and say sorry. The bullet's already gone. Pride. Pride is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy. I paid for mine with 18 years, with first steps and graduations and anniversaries. I paid with my wife's smile. I paid with everything. So here's my advice. It's simple. If you're angry, walk away. Just turn around and leave. If you're in a bar, in a party, anywhere, and you feel that heat starting in your chest, that old, familiar heat, you leave. You don't say one last thing. You don't make a point. You go. No crowd, no buddy, no insult is worth what comes next. That one beer isn't worth it. That moment of respect in front of your friends, it's an illusion. The real respect is walking away. The real man goes home. I have 6 years left on this sentence. 6 more years of waking up in this concrete box. My old life is gone. It's not waiting for me. My kids are adults. My wife has lived a life alone. But I can still choose what kind of man I am for the time I have left. I can be the man who owns his mistake completely, who doesn't make excuses, who says, I did this. It was my fault. And you watching this or listening or reading, you still have a choice I didn't make. You have your Friday night ahead of you. Your Maria is asking you to stay home, or your gut is telling you to leave a place that feels wrong. Listen to it. If I had just stayed home that Friday, my life would be perfect. It's not a figure of speech. I mean it literally. I had it all, and I threw it away for a spilled beer and a shove. Don't be me. Don't let 1 second, one punch, one stupid, reckless decision steal your life. When that voice tells you to go home, listen to it. Go home. Hold what you have tight. It's everything. It's the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters. And I lost it. I think the hardest part, the part that really breaks you, isn't the sentencing. It's not the first night in a cell. It's the slow, quiet moments where you finally understand the size of the hole you've made. For me, that moment came about 5 years in. It was a visitation day. Maria was there. She came alone. The kids were teenagers by then, busy with their own lives. And honestly, I think she was shielding them from me, from this place. We sat at one of those tables with the bolted-down stools, no glass between us, but a chasm a mile wide. We made small talk. How's your brother? How's work? She was working at a doctor's office by then. Then there was a silence. One of those heavy, thick silences where you can hear the clock ticking on the wall. She looked down at her hands, then up at me. Her eyes were tired, like always, but there was something else in them, a kind of finality. She said, Anthony, I filed the papers for divorce. She said it so softly, no anger, just a statement of fact, like she was telling me it was going to rain. And that was what killed me, the absence of anger. The fight was all gone. I just stared at her. I knew it was coming, of course I knew. But hearing it, it was like the last door to my old life clicked shut and locked. I didn't know what to say. Okay was all that came out. What else was there? To beg? To ask her to wait 6 more years? That would have been cruel. She'd already waited 12. She'd raised our kids alone. She'd paid the bills alone. She'd slept in an empty bed for over a decade. My pride had taken her husband, and my sentence had taken her partner. I had no right to ask for anything else. She reached across the table and put her hand on mine, just for a second. Her hand was warm. It's not because I hate you, she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were shining. It's because I have to live. I'm only 52. I have to have a life that isn't waiting. Do you understand? I did. I understood perfectly. That was the worst part. I nodded. I couldn't speak. If I opened my mouth, I would have sobbed like a child right there in that visitation room with all the other broken families around us. The kids, they know. They're okay. They love you. They'll still visit. She was trying to make it easier. That was Maria, always trying to soften the blow, even when I dealt it. This is just a paper. For me. A paper That's what I'd reduced our marriage to. A piece of paper to be filed and signed. 23 years, 3 kids, a house, laughter in the kitchen, arguments about money, teaching the boys to ride bikes, watching our daughter in her first school play. All of it for this. A paperwork transaction in a prison visitation room. I finally found my voice. It was a rasp. I'm so sorry, Maria, for everything. For that night, for all of this. She nodded, a quick little dip of her chin, and wiped at her eye. I know you are. She stood up then. She couldn't stay. There was nothing left to say. She leaned over, and for a second I thought she might kiss my cheek, but she didn't. She just squeezed my shoulder. You take care of yourself, Anthony. And then she walked away. I watched her go. I watched her speak to the guard, get her ID back, and push through the heavy door. I watched until it closed behind her, and I just sat there. The noise of the room came back, the murmuring, the crying babies, the scrape of chairs. I felt hollowed out, empty. I had known I'd lost my family the night Carlos died, but that day, with Maria, was the day they buried the body. I went back to my cell and I lay on my bunk. I didn't cry. I was past that. I just stared at the concrete ceiling, at the cracks that looked like a river on a map. I thought about my 4 siblings. We were close once. Raised in that crowded house on the west side, all of us fighting for space, for attention. We had each other's backs. Now, limited contact. They have their own families, their own problems. A brother in prison is a complicated thing. It's a shame they don't want to explain. It's a sadness that's too heavy to carry for years on end. I don't blame them. I really don't. I thought about my parents. Good people, hard workers. They were so proud when I got my foreman promotion. My dad slapped me on the back and said, "You did it, mijo. You got out of the grind." And I did, for a little while. Then I threw it all away and put them through a trial. And now these visits to a place that smells of bleach and despair. They're old now. It's too much for them. That night, lying there, it all came together. The full cost. It wasn't just 18 years. It was the life that should have happened in those years. It was Maria finding someone else, maybe. Someone who's there to fix the sink, who holds her at night. It was my kids learning how to be men and women from someone other than their father. It was my parents growing old with a son in a box. It was my crew, the men I was so worried about impressing, moving on, forgetting my name. All of it. For one punch. For not walking away from a spilled beer and a shove. For letting that brick wall of pride get so high I couldn't see over it to what really mattered. That was my lowest point. The divorce papers made it real, permanent. There was no fantasy left, no daydream about going home to my old life. That life was gone. It was paperwork now. It was a memory. And I was just a man in a cell with 6 years left to serve and nothing to go home to. But here's the thing about hitting bottom. There's nowhere to look but up, or inward. And when you look inward with that kind of clarity, with all the noise and the pride and the excuses stripped away, you start to see the truth. Not the story you tell yourself, but the bare, ugly facts. And in those facts, if you're honest, you can finally find the lesson. It doesn't give you your life back, but it might just save someone else's. It might just save someone else's. So here's what I learned, sitting in this cell for 12 years, staring at those cracks in the ceiling. I learned that pride isn't strength. It's a weakness dressed up in a tough guy's clothes. Real strength isn't throwing a punch. Any fool can do that. Real strength is swallowing your pride, turning your back on a challenge that doesn't matter, and walking out that door. It's going home to your wife when she asks you to stay. That's the hardest fight you'll ever win, the one against your own ego. I thought being a man, especially a man from the West Side who'd worked his way up, meant never backing down. I was wrong. It means knowing what's worth fighting for. My family was worth fighting for. My freedom was worth fighting for. Some stranger's disrespect in a noisy bar, that was nothing. A ghost. And I traded everything for a ghost. I think about Carlos every day, not just as the man who died, but as a man. He had a family, people who loved him. I took him from them. I ended his story. And in doing that, I ended my own story, the one I was living with Maria and my kids. I wrote a different ending for all of us with one closed fist. That's the weight I carry. It's not the state's sentence. It's the life sentence of knowing I caused that much pain, that much loss. Your temper isn't just a weapon. It's a bomb. And it blows up more than one life. So here is my advice, as plain as I can say it. If you're in a situation where your blood is starting to heat up, where your heart is pounding in your ears, you have one job. Leave. Don't say your piece. Don't get the last word. Don't worry about what the guys at the table will think. They won't be visiting you in prison. They won't be writing to your wife explaining why you're not coming home. You get up and you walk out. You go to your car, you drive, and you don't look back. You go home. You walk through that door you shouldn't have left, and you hug your wife, you hug your kids. You sit on your couch and you be grateful for the walls around you. Because I'd give anything to be sitting on my old couch right now, listening to my kids argue over the TV remote. Anything. That's the choice. It's that simple and that hard. It's choosing the quiet love you already have over the loud, fake respect of a barroom crowd. The crowd forgets you in an hour. Your family remembers you forever. I have 6 years left. When I get out, I'll be 60. My kids will be in their 30s. Maria will have been divorced from me for years. My parents might not be here. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you so you understand the math. One night equals 18 years. One punch equals a lifetime of regret. The equation never changes. You still have time to choose a different answer. This channel, this platform, it gives people like me a voice outside these walls. A chance to say the things we wish we'd understood before it was too late. If this story, my story, hit you somewhere real, if it made you think about your own temper, your own pride, then do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications. There are other stories here, other lessons learned the hard way, and they might just be the thing that keeps you from making a mistake you can't take back. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, what's your one beer? What's the situation you know you should walk away from? Just saying it out loud or typing it makes it real. It gives you a better chance of remembering it when the heat rises. If this meant something to you, hit the like button. And please, share this. Share it with your brother, your son, your friend who's always getting into it at bars. You might not think they'll listen, but you never know what word, what story finally gets through. Maybe it's this one. And if you have a story of your own, something you learned through pain, something that could help someone else steer clear of a cliff, there's a form in the description. Share it. Your voice matters. Your lesson could be the one that saves a family. I'll leave you with this. My old man, when I was a kid scrapping in the neighborhood, he'd say, "Anthony, it's not the punch you throw that makes you a man. It's the punch you don't throw." I didn't get it then. I thought he was talking about fighting. He wasn't. He was talking about living. He was talking about keeping what you have. I finally get it now. Don't wait as long as I did to understand. Hold what you have. It's everything.